So were you one of the thousands of companies that applied and received a PPP loan earlier this year and now planning for forgiveness? If so, you need to know about an important change announced by the SBA just in the past few weeks. We're going to talk about that more today. Hi, my name is Chris Passmore and I am your social media CPA. So it's closing in on the end of 2020, so many people are planning to start their application for their PPP forgiveness. This was the fundamental and important thing about this program under the CARES Act, the ability for all of us to apply to have that loan amount forgiven and not be repaid, and has injected a significant amount of capital into the economy to help us get through the impact of COVID-19. So it was just in the past 2 weeks that the SBA released what is called the PPP Loan Necessity Questionnaire. And this is very important for companies who received a PPP loan in excess of $2 million. This questionnaire was created to help the SBA and the lender assess the need for that PPP loan that was granted earlier during 2020. It's to help them assess the good faith certificate that you most likely had to sign when you applied for that PPP loan. If you don't remember, that's the part of the loan where you had to represent that due to the uncertain times as a result of COVID, that those funds were necessary to sustain your business this year. So this questionnaire, it's not something everyone's going to have to do. You're going to get a request from either your lender or the SBA. And when it is requested for your company to complete this questionnaire, you're going to have 10 business days to complete and return that form to your lender. And I highly recommend that if you are requested to complete this questionnaire, get your advisors to help you prepare the answers, because there are financial questions, there's liquidity questions, there's questions about the impact to your business, and you want to make sure that your responses are accurate, well thought out, and well positioned to make sure it doesn't impact your forgiveness application. So let's talk about what's on the actual questionnaire. So the questionnaire itself is 9 pages long. There's 21 questions. I've actually included a link down in the comments below to the form for for-profit companies, so you can take a look at what questions you'll have to answer if you're requested to do this. So let's talk about 4 of the key things that they request from you and your business. The first key item that they want you to disclose is your revenue this year to last year, specifically your Q2 revenue. So you're going to disclose your Q2 revenue in 2020, and you're going to also disclose your Q2 revenue to 2019. The reason why they're focusing on Q2 is because largely COVID became an impact in late March, beginning of April. And so that would be the first 3-month period where we would be under the COVID restrictions from beginning to end. And they're looking for a reduction in your revenue during that period to help them assess how much need your business had for that PPP loan. So you now have to disclose those actual numbers. The next thing you're going to have to disclose is what was the impact of COVID-19 to your actual business. Were you required to shut your doors? And an example of that would be a restaurant, a hair salon. You were prevented to serve your customers during that period, so they ask that question of you. Were you impacted by this, and how were you impacted? And it's not for those just affected by government regulations like your restaurants and your hair salons, but also were you not allowed to have your employees go to the office, or any other impact you may have to your business. And so there are several questions that dig into how you were impacted and lets you explain that. The third big item that you are required to disclose is your cash on hand. They actually want to know how much cash your company had in the bank at the end of the quarter, right before your application for the PPP loan. So I understand that they're trying to see, well, what was your real cash need? I guess you could think of an extreme example. Let's say that your business was flourishing and you had $10 million in the bank right before you applied for the PPP. Well, that's going to look unfavorably on your forgiveness request. Alternatively, if you were in a situation where you were struggling to make payroll, that would further support your position that you took the PPP under a reasonable need and you would qualify for that forgiveness. So again, your cash balance right before you applied for that loan. And the fourth thing I want to focus in on today, and that's on the questionnaire, is you'll now have to disclose certain payments to the owners of your company and to your highly compensated employees. So the threshold they're using to require that disclosure is anyone who receives an amount annualized of $250,000 or more during that covered period. This is the 8-week period that you're allowed to apply for forgiveness. So they want to know, during the period that you're applying for forgiveness, who at your company made $250,000 or more. So you're going to be disclosing the number of employees and the amount paid during that covered period. So that's the fourth thing that you'll have to include in the questionnaire. There are a number of other questions, some that relate to publicly traded companies, your stock price, and you'll have to go through that in the questionnaire. But I do think those four are the key issues that you'll have to address. So you can see this questionnaire is a significant endeavor to assess and to qualify whether your company is going through a serious financial need. So that's why, again, why I think you need to bring in your group of advisors to help you prepare this form. So be on the lookout for this as you go through the forgiveness process. If you have any questions or concerns about how you would answer these questions, how you need to go through the forgiveness process, please send me a direct message. I'd be glad to help. I have a whole team of PPP professionals who are here to help you through your process. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this analysis today, and I look forward to speaking with you in my next video.